What is a good life?
Ooh. If I have a sense of what is a good life for me, that's one thing. Where I think it's important from a leadership perspective is, do I know what your good life is?
We can't just assume that we know what another person's good life is just based on our own experience. Like I know what makes a good life for me. That doesn't mean I know what makes a good life for you.
As a mindful leader, I get curious about how are we different and how can we support each other so that we're having a better experience as humans?
It's a question that we can ask ourselves and we can ask each other over and over again. And I think it will always point us in a direction of a good company. How's it going, Andrew?
Hey, not bad. How you doing, Chucky?
Good. So we've decided to put this question at the center of humanizing the workplace. And the question is, what is a good life? So, yeah, what does this question mean to you?
What is a good life? This question it's very holistic. And I think, what is a good life? For me, it means, okay, off the top of my head, how do I feel I am doing in this life? How is my contribution? A good life is feeling well used, feeling at peace, enjoying the present, being part of something that matters.
And I think a lot of people will hear what you just said and they'll be nodding. I found myself mostly nodding with what you were saying. And so then we take the question and turn it to the work that we do. Why is this question so important for leaders in organizations?
I think it's important because if I have a sense of what is a good life for me, that's one thing. I would say that brings a sense of confidence, a sense of, I don't know, I was going to say even gravitas, but like I am present and I am aware of myself and my needs and getting what I want out of my life. Where I think it's important from a leadership perspective is, do I know what your good life is? If you are part of my team, am I mindful of what it means for you? A good life for you might be allowing you some flexibility to start later in the day so that you can get your kids to school. It might be making sure that you get to extend your holidays a little bit more than perhaps would be a typical request from people, but we trade it off with, more work during the weeks or on a certain project, or, a good life might mean different things to different people. Well, actually, scratch that. A good life will mean different things to different people. And I think the mindful leader would take the time to know what is a good life for the people who work around them, and then take steps to try to help meet that where possible.
I think what's key in the way you address the question is we can't just assume that we know what another person's good life is just based on our own experience. Like I know what makes a good life for me. That doesn't mean I know what makes a good life for you. And I think that's crucial. Like we have to know that we're making assumptions about that for another person. And we have to bring our curiosity, interest, and we have to check it out. Like get to know them.
100%.
Listen, right?
Yes, listen. And as you said, be curious. And it may seem obvious, but there are definitely plenty of people out there who are operating out of default and have never really considered these types of questions, and therefore have these sort of built-in assumptions that if other people would just see things my way, we would all get along a lot better. And it's not through any ill will, it's just a lack of awareness. And so I think that the evolution of leaders, I mean, even people in general, I would say the evolution part of this is I become more aware. I become the observer of myself. I become the observer of people around me. And as I do that, I notice we're not the same. And so as a mindful leader, I get curious about how are we different and how can we support each other so that we're having a better experience as humans?
I think the other assumption that a lot of leaders and organizations hold is that this question doesn't matter or it isn't priority. I think the default assumption for a lot of leaders is the organization's needs come first, and you need to fit your life around that. So why they might even feel like it's dangerous to the organization to ask what is a good life for our employees.
Sadly, you're right. There are plenty of organizations out there where that is still a bit more of the operating system, if we can call it like, or the operating mindset. It's a fear-based approach, definitely. It's a fear-based mindset that says if we let people think for themselves, or if we show people too much, if we get too personal, we will ruin it and everyone will stop working and be sitting in the corner crying or asking for time off work or whatever. Um, it's a shame. It's a shame. And thankfully it is changing. It is less and less so. But I remember myself being told in my previous corporate role that these things were irrelevant. Your job is to
Mm-hmm.
deliver. I remember
Of
asking for
course.
some support. I was a new leader. I asked for some training, for some support, and I was told with a very straight face, I should have got educated before I came to this job. It was my responsibility to have taken my education before I started working. And if I want to get educated on anything new now, it's on me. We don't do
It's
people.
amazing.
That was the message. We're not interested
Yep.
in helping you to lead. You have
Mm.
deliverables. Go get deliverables. Go and, scare your people into submission so that they deliver better. But we're not interested in developing you. That was on you.
So what that reminds me of is a lot of times when we talk about bringing coaching into organizations, and coaching managers, organizational leaders, there are always the conversations about what if you coach them and they leave? Or even training. What if you train them and they leave? And the subtext is, what if they start looking inward and thinking about their fulfillment, and those inquiries reveal to them that we are not a satisfying company to work for? Maybe we can paper that over and avoid those conversations if we don't give them a chance to self-reflect. So we want people who do not self-reflect, because self-reflection will make people leave. So you know where I'm going here, right?
I do. Shocking news. Shocking news. If people find out that they can think for themselves and that they can check themselves around what matters to them, they might actually move on to something else. Uh, the bottom line answer here for organizations is it may be painful for you in the short term. It's great news for you in the long run. You do not want people working for you who don't want to be there.
And their leaving is feedback for you. If you have a significant number of employees who are, you know, updating the resumes and submitting inquiries on LinkedIn, if you know this is happening, maybe there's something about the atmosphere you're creating inside your company that is not compatible with a good life. And this is where I think we go back to this question of what is a good life. And the reason that we think it's so important is because it's a question that we can ask ourselves and we can ask each other over and over again. And I think it will always point us in a direction of a good company.
You're so right. It helps us to understand the power dynamics that are going on in these organizations between the individuals and their leaders too. I love that you talk about it as feedback as well. I think that a mindful organization would look at this and take it as feedback and consider, are we really helping people to live a good life, or are we doing a not particularly great life?
Mm. Yeah. Oh, well, and if self-reflecting leaders, if that's a threat to you, if you're concerned about what that will create, then that also means you're not confident that your company is creating a good life for people. Like, there's a problem. If you're concerned about this, there's a problem.
Yeah, and it's inviting you into an uncomfortable conversation or a bit of self-reflection perhaps, but probably a great opportunity to consider something new.
New approach, new way to do it. Absolutely.
Yay for the good life.